To make the angel food cake, I just whipped up a boxed angel food cake. I used the Pillsbury mix, but you can use Betty Crocker or any brand that you'd like. And I just followed the instructions on the box to make my batter. And so here's that. And we're also going to use the raspberry puree that we made in the previous video. So you want to make sure that you have that ready as well. So to make the raspberry swirl in the middle, we're going to take about a cup of our angel food batter and just put it in a bowl, separate bowl, good enough. And then we're going to take 4 tablespoons of our raspberry puree and add to that. There we go, 4 tablespoons. And then we're just going to mix that up. And you'll find that it comes out to be kind of a nice reddish purple color, and that's what you want. This is what we're going to use to make the swirl inside the angel food cake. So just stir that all up until it's well mixed, and we're ready to start to get our cake ready to put in the oven. So here we go. We're going to take half of the batter of the angel food cake and put it in this tube pan. If you don't have a tube pan, you can get these at Walmart or online for about $10 or so. So they're not terribly expensive. So we put about half or so in there. And now we're going to take the raspberry batter that we made and just kind of put it in here. Doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be a pattern, just kind of dab it in there. Get it in there. That. And then just take your spoon and just kind of swirl it around. Nothing fancy. It's going to look great and taste great when it's done. There you go. That's all there is to that. And now we're going to take the rest of our batter and just pour it over the top of the raspberry batter. You just want to try to get that raspberry batter covered. So just pour it all over like that. Just get it all covered up. We'll pour the rest of our batter in. And there you go. And that's it. The cake is now ready to go into a preheated 350-degree oven, and we're just going to bake it just per the instructions on the angel food cake box. So our cake is done. It just came out of the oven, baked for about 35 to 40 minutes. And now what we want to do is we want to cool this upside down. You don't want it to fall. You want it to be nice and tall. So some tube pans have little stands kind of attached to them where you can just cool it upside down on the stands. This one does not. So what I'm going to do is take 3 cans of approximately the same size. This one's a little taller. And then we're just going to set our cake upside down. If I can do this, it's kind of hard because it's hot. On these 10 cans. And you just want it to set on the edge of the can. You don't want it touching the cake. I've covered them in tin foil because they've been in the cabinet for a while and probably have dust on top and things that you don't want your cake touching. So we're just going to let that cool upside down, probably for 30 minutes to an hour until it's completely cooled, and then we'll be ready to frost it. So our cake is cool now, and we're going to get it out of the pan. So just lightly take like a butter knife and go lightly around the edges to get this out. Even though these are non-stick pans, angel food cakes still tend to stick to them, so you're going to need to use a knife to get it out. go around lightly. You can see it separates pretty easy from the side of the pan. Go all the way around. Go. We should be ready to turn this out now onto a cake plate. Separated really easily. Look, it's nice and tall and brown. Now we're going to need to do the same thing for the top here to get the top off. So we'll just take our butter knife and run it gently around the top until the top of the two pans separates. Like that. And there is our finished angel cake. Now we're ready to start the frosting. You only need 3 ingredients for the frosting. One is a Betty Crocker home-style fluffy white frosting mix. Hopefully you can find that in your grocery store or online. The unsweetened raspberry puree that we used in the cake and we made in a previous video. So you'll need that, and 1 cup of whipping cream. So I've set up my stand mixer with the stainless steel bowl and the whip attachment. While the cake was cooling, I put both of these into the freezer to get them really cold. Anytime you're working with whipping cream, the best thing to do is put your bowl and your beaters into the freezer and get them really cold. It helps the frosting whip up more. So I'm going to add my Betty Crocker fluffy white icing mix, my 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Then I'm going to add, again, about 4 tablespoons of the unsweetened raspberry puree. Okay, put this down. We're going to start out on low, kind of mix all these ingredients together. We'll scrape down the sides here. We want to get all the frosting mix down into the pan. Like that. And now we're going to turn it up to a high level and let it whip. This is probably going to take 2 to 3 minutes with a stand mixer, and you can use a hand mixer if you want instead of the stand mixer, but it's going to take a bit longer. So we'll let that mix for about a couple minutes. So the frosting has been whipping for about 2 minutes, and as you can see, it's a really pretty pink color, and it kind of forms soft peaks. It kind of stands on its own a little bit, so that will be very spreadable onto the cake, and that's what we'll do next, is put this on the cake. So what I've done here is I've put a little bit of tin foil just under the edge of the cake and kind of covered up my plate. That way when you're frosting the cake, it won't get the frosting onto your clean cake plate. So now, just time to frost the cake. It's really easy. Just put some on. There's a lot of frosting. It didn't look like a lot when it starts, but it whips up quite a bit. So we'll just start putting it on. And I have this little cake spatula that's used for frosting cakes. You can get one for a few bucks. If you don't have one, certainly feel free. You can use a butter knife as well. So this will take a few minutes. We'll go ahead and frost the cake and show you what it looks like at the end. So here's our completed cake. It's all frosted all the way around. It's this really pretty pink color, so it's great for many different occasions. It's very light and airy, so it's great for the summer with barbecues and stuff. Next, what we'll do is we'll just wrap this in plastic wrap lightly, put it in the refrigerator for at least an hour before you're ready to serve. And when you are going to cut it, use a good serrated knife like a bread knife, because a regular table knife is just going to squish the cake. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a delicious summer cake.